We begin with the elections in South Africa, where the ruling ANC party has lost its majority for the first time since apartheid ended 30 years ago.
Last week, 27 million South Africans participated in the elections to choose new provincial legislatures and a new national parliament. Pre-election polling indicated that the African National Congress, ANC, was at risk of losing its parliamentary majority for the first time. Despite ANC politicians' hopes of either securing a majority or forming a coalition with compliant minor parties, the election results revealed that the ANC had underperformed, and it will likely have to form a coalition with one of the major opposition parties. In this video, we'll explore the reasons behind the ANC's declining popularity, analyze the election results, and discuss potential future developments. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications for our new videos. To provide some context, South Africa has been governed by the ANC since the end of apartheid in 1994. While the ANC initially governed effectively, the situation has deteriorated since Jacob Zuma came to power in 2009. Wages and GDP per capita have stagnated, while national debt, unemployment, crime, and economic inequality have all risen. Zuma's presidency was marred by corruption allegations, and despite being indicted on various charges in 2005, legal and political obstacles have hindered prosecution efforts. Zuma faced imprisonment for contempt of court in 2021, but was released on medical grounds after serving only 2 months, a release that was later deemed illegal. Zuma never returned to prison, citing overcrowding and increased gang activity as reasons. In 2017, a business magnate named Cyril Ramaphosa succeeded Zuma, narrowly defeating Zuma's former spouse and political ally in the leadership election. Despite high expectations for Ramaphosa's presidency, it has been underwhelming. South Africa's economy has stagnated with widespread poverty, youth unemployment exceeding 50%, and a potential worsening of corruption. The current concern centers around South Africa's national power utility, Eskom, which due in part to pervasive corruption, is unable to meet the country's electricity demands, leading to frequent power outages. As a result of these issues, the ANC's popularity has steadily waned, with their percentage of the vote in national elections dropping from 70% in 2004 to 58% in 2019. Pre-election polls indicated that they were likely to lose their majority for the first time. This decline in support might be expected to benefit the Democratic Alliance, South Africa's primary opposition party situated to the right of the ANC and generally more appealing to white South Africans. However, many former ANC supporters have shifted their support to two relatively new, more extreme leftist parties, Julius Malema's EFF and Jacob Zuma's MK party, both of which were polling at around 10%. For context, the EFF is a black nationalist Marxist party with policies that include seizing farmland from white South Africans, nationalizing a significant portion of the economy, and providing support to both Hamas and Russia. Zuma's MK party is primarily an anti-ANC party that is popular among Zulu nationalists and voters in Zuma's home province of KwaZulu-Natal. Both Malema and Zuma are former ANC politicians who criticize the ANC for being too moderate. On Wednesday evening, the initial results began to come in, and by Friday morning, the outlook was not favorable for the ANC. At the time of writing, with over 50% of the vote counted, the ANC has secured just over 42% of the vote. The Democratic Alliance has garnered 23%, Zuma's MK party has around 11%, and the EFF has about 10%. South African anthropologists anticipate that the final results will be similar to what we are currently witnessing, or possibly even slightly worse for the ANC. As South Africa employs a predominantly proportional system, which has recently been adjusted to accommodate independent candidates, this means that the ANC will likely need to form a coalition with one of the three main opposition parties. However, none of these options are ideal. Moreover, none of the three parties are particularly motivated to enter into a coalition with the ANC, given that it is much easier to oppose the ANC than it is to govern in South Africa. The recent coalitions between the ANC and EFF in cities like Johannesburg have been marked by incompetence, raising concerns about governance. There is a possibility that the EFF's more radical policies might be included in future manifestos, which could have significant implications. On the other hand, a grand coalition with the Democratic Alliance, DA, could be more economically conventional and appealing to international markets. The DA leader, John Steinhosen, expressed a desire to form a coalition with moderate factions within the ANC to avoid what he termed a doomsday coalition with the EFF. However, resistance from radical elements within the ANC and concerns about losing their role as the primary critic of the ANC could hinder this potential alliance. As for the Zoomer's MK party, it might be the ANC's easiest option, especially if they opt to remove Ramaphosa following the poor election results. This could potentially lead to a presidential pardon for Zuma, along with support for his influence in KwaZulu-Natal. However, any deal with Zuma would likely be viewed as corrupt, and there are doubts about his cooperation once he receives a pardon. Regardless of the coalition formed, it is unlikely to bring immediate positive change to South Africa. However, some may argue that this is a necessary price to pay for transitioning away from the ANC, especially given the party's track record. What are your thoughts on the recent election developments and potential coalitions?